The news alert. Again, this looks like one of those days where you don't want to be pulling out the old 401k statement and taking a look at what's going on. Right now, live, 388, 389 points down. We started the day down as much as 500 points. And this is, of course, your Dow Jones Industrial Average of 40 stocks. Not looking at the entire stock market as a whole. But what's behind it is, again, a looming trade war with China. President Trump announced that we were going to put tariffs on a number of goods coming out of China, most notably steel and other metals. And so China, just this morning before the market opened up, said, oh yeah, well, we're going to start putting tariffs, 25% tariffs on $50 billion worth of goods, including automobiles and planes and soybeans, among many other products. So, and that is a result. So again, a very volatile couple of weeks here in our stock market, and looming trade war with China is to blame. Another news alert here on Fox 10. The Red for Ed movement continues to heat up in Arizona, and teachers across the valley are launching what they're calling walk-ins. They're gathering outside of school before class and then all walking in with their students to show solidarity in their push for higher pay. So Troy Barrett and Sky Fox over Mesa High School. Just saw your pictures, Troy, so describe the scene.
Just a few moments ago, there were maybe a dozen or so teachers on hand just across the street, across Harris Drive from Mesa High School. And then as we got a little bit closer to 7 o'clock, the crowd started to gather a little bit larger here. So we're looking at a couple dozen teachers with signs all in red this morning across the street from Mesa High School. You see a few more teachers beginning to show up here, going across the crosswalk across Harris over to this little staging area. They're going to get together. We've seen Hamilton High School just a few moments ago where the teachers got together. They had a little meeting and then they all walked to another location, and it looks like these teachers here at Mesa High School gathering across the street going to go ahead and tighten up their signs, tighten up their message, and then as soon as they're ready to walk onto campus, they'll do that in just a few moments, but certainly taking time to bring some solidarity to this movement to try to get some better pay for themselves as they take care of our kids throughout the day.
Yeah, it's a tough issue, Troy. I mean, I think it's pretty established that our state is losing teachers, and a lot of the teachers are saying they're not staying in the profession because they're not making enough money. The governor has said he's not going to raise taxes. I know that we just enacted a partial sales tax. We kept it going for another 20 years to help with this. But, you know, there's just not a lot of money there, and but this movement is growing, as we're seeing this morning.
Yes, it is, and the city continues to grow. You know, we see new high schools going up all over town, new schools here and there, so the student population is growing, and, you know, we certainly got to figure out a way to keep pace and make sure that these teachers are taken care of, for sure.
All right. Thank you, Troy. We'll talk to you a little bit later on. Walk-ins also happening in Chandler this morning. Troy, a little bit earlier, was over Hamilton High School not too long ago. The demonstration is part of, again, Red for Ed movement, focusing on higher pay, better funding for education, and, you know, this the latest in a series of marches, not only here in Arizona, but across the country. And these teachers basically saying, look, we don't want to be the lowest paid in the country anymore. And there's a lot of pushback from a lot of people saying, well, wait a second, you know, where's the money coming from? And we don't want to pay higher taxes. So you think it's going to have to come to a breaking point at some point. In a few minutes, we'll actually hear from some of these teachers. We are live at a school in Glendale where walk-ins are also getting underway. Marcy Jones is going to join us with that in about 10 minutes. New this morning, 2 people are badly hurt. West Valley Business has major damage to clean up. A driver plows right into 2 people at a gas station. Happened about 1 o'clock this morning, 43rd Avenue in Thomas. Phoenix police saying an SUV was trying to turn into a Chevron when it hit 2 men and then crashed right into the building. And you can see the damage in the side of the building here. We're told the men are 20 and 22 years old, both taken to the hospital in critical condition. The driver of the SUV was not badly hurt. And why the driver hit the men or what exactly is behind this still unclear as the investigation is ongoing. Also new this morning, a shooting, I should say, under investigation in Phoenix. Senior 19th Avenue in Camelback. Man was shot. He will survive. Suspect took off. They may have known each other, these two, not being cooperative with the officers. At this hour, Phoenix police investigating a possible murder in the West Valley. A woman's body found in an alley near 39th Avenue in Thomas yesterday morning. The victim hasn't been identified. Medical examiner is going to determine the cause of death. Investigators say this does point, though, to being some sort of foul play. So if you have any information on this case, you're asked to call Phoenix Police or Silent Witness, and you could get a reward for your information. That's 480-WITNESS. An arrest has been made in a murder in Peoria. The body of Jamie Guerrero, Monday afternoon, discovered parking lot near 91st Avenue in Olives. Detectives say the shooting happened when he reached for a gun during an argument with another man. So that man was taken in for questioning but released. Another man at the scene was booked for hindering prosecution. It's believed he hid a gun and took it from police. Not sure how this woman is involved. In court this morning, Hezron Parks, a man accused of the shooting death of an off-duty Tempe fire captain in Old Town Scottsdale. Carmen Blackwell joins us now with more on this story. High profile, definitely, when it happened, Carmen.
Yes, Troy, good morning. Definitely high profile case here. That man, Hezron Parks, is expected to show up in Superior Court later on this morning. Let's take a look at some video here. Back in February, Scottsdale police arrested a 21-year-old man they say fatally shot a Tempe fire captain just several hours earlier before that. Now, Hezron Parks faces second-degree murder charges and the death of 34-year-old Kyle Breyer, who was in fact off duty at the time that he was killed. Now, Hezron Parks is scheduled to have his hearing in this case in Superior Court later on this morning. Police say that he was driving behind a golf cart and kept bumping into it. And Kyle Breyer, that officer, was in the cart with some friend, and he got out and walked toward the car that Parks was in, and he got out, and then that's when Parks shot him. Parks turned himself into police just hours thereafter, but Parks told police that he shot the officer because he felt threatened when Breyer approached him. Now, he pleaded not guilty to the shooting, but again, Parks is expected to show up in court later on this morning, and of course we'll be following this case, so we'll bring you those details later on this morning after that court appearance. But for now, that's the latest. Troy, back to you.
All right, Carmen, thank you for that. We are starting to heat up a bit, so we're going to look for ways to beat the heat. City of Phoenix looking at ways to cool down our streets. And one idea that was thrown out there, repainting our streets a lighter color. So Los Angeles has been experimenting by painting some of their streets lighter to help reflect some of the heat instead of, black tops, which kind of soak it in and then release the heat throughout the rest of the day. And in some neighborhoods, LA, the studies there show the temperature dropped up to 5 to 10 degrees in some neighborhoods, but officials in Phoenix, they aren't sure that solution is the best idea for here.
What we're looking for is an impact on the temperature, so probably near at the surface and ambient temperature above it. Some of the other concerns are skid resistance, so we don't get a lot of rain here, but when we do, it's important that cars can stop on it. There's some other concerns perhaps about maintenance later if you need to dig into street, repair the street, so we'd need to seal coat that again.
So City of Phoenix not really high on the idea of painting streets, but they say they are trying to plant some more trees in an effort that canopy could try to shield some of our sidewalks and streets. Let's get to Andrea. Speaking of streets, it's 7:09 to take a look at our traffic this Wednesday morning. Hey, Andrea.
All right, it's a typical morning out there. We've got accidents, we have delays, and if you're just heading out, you're going to experience or sit in one of these, chances are. So let's try to get you around some of the real trouble spots. 43rd Avenue and Thomas, there's a crash there, and 43rd Avenue is affected. You'll want to use 35th Avenue or 51st Avenue. 39th Avenue in McDowell, we've got a crash there. We have another one right at the off-ramp from the eastbound side of the 202 at 44th Street. We'll head outside and I'll show you what the 10 looks like at 19th Avenue. Inbound lanes moving along, but definitely moving below the speed limit.
Corey, what's going on, my friend?
It's kind of quiet. This is the calm before the warm. Calm before the warm.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
I like that. That could catch on.
Yeah, trademark.
It's not
that.
trademarked.
Yeah.
So
Get
feel
on
free
that.
to use it.
Hashtag it, and then let's see if it trends.
I'm not too protective of my stuff. A lot of it's out there in
Free
the
use.
zeitgeist.
Sure. Yeah. I like to share.
I'm a sharer. It's going to be a great day. Do you love the warm weather? Well, we have it for you today. Numbers will be up there, not into record territory, but we will see plenty of sunshine. But look how close the clouds are. I think tomorrow will be a gray day. We're already seeing cloudy skies across California and much of Nevada and parts of Utah as well. So we'll get our sunshine in today. Look for the skies to cloud up tomorrow. That will not, unfortunately, diminish the heat, because even though today will be in the upper 80s under the sun, tomorrow under the clouds we'll probably see 90s. So keep the warm weather going until late next week. And I'm heading back to school, so I'll see you from Starlight Elementary in just a bit.
Excellent.
Okay, see you in a little bit.
Celeste is out in the newsroom at 7-Eleven taking a look at some breaking news for us. Hey, Celeste.
Hey, good morning, you two. Good morning, everyone. So let's talk about the big story, really, that everyone around the nation is covering. We're talking about this shooting taking place at the YouTube headquarters, which we know is owned by Google. It took place most of the afternoon into the evening hours of yesterday. Well, this morning, some new information about this suspect, this woman who went in this afternoon, or yesterday afternoon, that is. This is her right here, and she started shooting people. Her name is Nasim Agdam. She's from San Diego. Investigators also believe she had a vendetta against YouTube, the company. According to social media posts, she believed YouTube was censoring her and blocking her from getting paid from some of the content she was posting on their website. Now, what that content was, we're still waiting for some information on that. Police say she opened fire on the YouTube campus, hurting 3 people and then taking her own life. Investigators say the victims did not know the shooter. The Trump administration proposing bigger tariffs on China after they required foreign companies to hand over their technology. The Trump administration proposing 25% tariffs on high-tech industries that account for $50 billion in Chinese imports. Well, this comes after China put taxes on $3 billion in American products in response to the United States tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. There's about a list of more than 100 items here. We spoke with Tracy Carrasco with the Fox Business Network, as we do each and every morning, and she said that is really what it is. So it equals $50 billion, what our announcement made against them with the tariffs. Teachers in Oklahoma are ditching the classroom for a 3rd straight day, protesting for higher pay and more money for schools. Many public schools closed this morning as the educators rally at the state capitol. So other parts of the country are seeing situations like this. Last week, lawmakers passed legislation to raise teachers' salaries $6,000 and give the schools $18 million. Educators say that is not enough. Oklahoma teachers asking for a $10,000 raise for themselves, plus $200 million in educational funding over the next 3 years. You know, we have some of these situations here locally, you two, where at Hamilton High School they're having a walk-in. We covered that live. We had some Skyfox images where some of the teachers were gathering outside of the school for a walk-in. They were wearing the red T-shirts and had some of the signs as well.
Yeah, and we are going to continue to cover that right now. Thank you, Celeste. So that Red for Ed movement continuing, as Celeste said, across the valley.
Yeah, the teachers across the state holding the walk-ins to show support for the movement and push for higher pay and more funding for education.
So we had some shots from Skyfox a few minutes ago. Let's get down on the ground now. Marcy Jones talking to teachers out there on the line. Marcy, thank you. Do you have a teacher right there, Marcy?
I do. I have a teacher and I have a student who's just here for support. They're both in red. Well, we've seen the statistics. We've heard from both sides. One side saying we don't have enough. The other saying, where's it going to come from? It gets a little convoluted, but I am talking to Dwayne Demlin this morning. He's a teacher in the Valley, and he's telling me more really that I can understand than I have really been able to comprehend in a long time. You just kind of narrowed it all down for me. So, you know, put it in black and white, which you do have for us with highlights. Excellent. So you're saying that we don't need any more money. We have the money in the budgets for the districts. We just need to reallocate. Tell us more.
I think in some districts there's enough money there to do it. There are others that don't. And this is a study of just 8 districts that we've looked at. In fact, 2 of them are the ones that have been in the news a lot.
Flip it around and show everybody what startles you with these numbers.
With these numbers, what startled me the most is, for example, Paradise Valley Unified School District. This is only one of their allocated funds, which is operation and maintenance. They have $205.9 million to operate the whole thing off of. They're only spending roughly $36,000 per teacher. Of that funding, though, only 22% comes from the state. So they're getting revenue through their taxes and their other bases. Same with the Deer Valley Unified School District, only 34%. So unified school districts that are doing very well on their own, it's the other districts, such as Washington, Glendale, where they're individual, and then you're going to see that percentage go up to 69, 50%, something like that. So I think that there's money there that needs to be done. But the whole thing is we've got money there that needs to be reallocate it. It's not going to the front line. It's not going into the classroom. And this is something that I think that the governor and that the state needs to look at in our legislatures. And I've not been, my own district representatives, Senator Yee, who is our majority leader, has failed to contact me after numerous contacts. These are things that we can resolve right now. As a businessman, as a manager, we don't need to deal with what if. We need to deal with what is.
Yeah.
This is what is, and we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Now we need to come in and correct it. That does not mean that we don't need more funding. We do need more funding. But we need to also allocate what we're doing appropriately, and that's where they're failing.
Billion-dollar question, Dwayne. How do we fix this? What are you looking for Governor Doug Ducey?
I want to see the requirement where people like me that are experts in business and in education, that work in post-secondary education, universities come in where we've already proven success, allow us to come in to set into these superintendent positions, into principal positions, because as it is right now, I can't do it. I need 3 years of full-time teaching in primary and secondary by the rules. We need people like me that know how to do this at the level that we have, bring that in and help show that we can allocate and make improvements with what's already here.
Yes, and Dwayne, you're doing that today, wearing your red for ed, educating people. Quinn, thank you for joining us. You're in red too. Excellent. Guys, we're going to toss it back to you.
All right.
Thank you so
Excellent.
much.
Thank you very, very
So,
much.
Marcy, he's a teacher, right? Is that what you were saying?
Got a little bit too
Yes, he's a substitute teacher here.
Okay, so if you can ask him, what does he make right now, and what does he think he should make? And then the other question is, whenever I bring this stuff up, people will say, well, they only work 10 months out of the year and then have all this time off. Should they make the same as everybody else?
Yes. So Troy, our anchor, is asking, what do you make now? And what would you think you should make?
Well, as a substitute, I make $90 to $100 a day, depending upon what school district and what the schedule is. When you look at substitutes in other districts, such as California, they make $300 and $400 for the day.
Wow.
If you're looking at full-time teaching faculty right now, most of the teachers here are making $36,000 a year. The new contract for a friend of mine is $42,000. She has a master's. That needs to be up. If I have an MBA, if I'm offered a job, I'm not taking it if it's not $55,000. I have to pay for my education. That's what we need to do. Is $55,000 unreasonable for a teacher? Absolutely not. Not with the amount of time that they do. See, people think that it's only a 9-month job. She works over the summer preparing for school as well and doesn't get paid for it. They need to be compensated for that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Told she does most of her grading at home, not at school.
Yeah, so she's off the clock doing that, right? Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for that input, Quinn.
That was interesting,
Appreciate it.
Marcy. Thank you for
Marcy.
for enlightening us on that. And you know, we've reached out to the governor. I talked to the governor's office actually last week, so maybe we can get him in here
And the superintendent of public schools.
Yes.
And
so,
we're waiting to hear back from them as well.
But he was talking about, let's get the legislature in to kind of tell these districts what to do. And then you probably have a whole other fight on your hands if you have legislators telling the school districts how to spend their money. So, yeah, it's a complicated issue.
Right. And it's
right?
not going to, I don't think it's going to be solved easily
No.
or quickly.
But we can't keep losing teachers.
No.
It doesn't help our kids. That's what I will say.
No.
It takes time to build a friendship, but how much time does it actually take to build a good friendship?
A good friendship.
Yep.
Coming up, researchers may have the answer to how long it takes to make a close friend.
And DNA testing shows your intelligence could be based off your genes. How a simple DNA swab could be used to predict the future brain power in children, and why some people don't think that's a great idea to have that info. Top 30, we love the show, and we love the host.
Kristen Smith here to talk about what they're talking about later today. Hi.
Hi, you guys. Well, the love is mutual, first of all.
Good. Well, thank
so
you.
it's good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
And, you know, this is very timely because I consider you both true friends. And we have a story today on the show about friendship. And we all know it takes work to build a solid relationship with someone. But scientists from the University of Kansas have now identified just how much time and effort it actually takes. So on Top 30 today, we're talking about how it takes 50 hours to form a bona fide friend.
Wow.
50 hours. Now, I'm trying to think back
That's
to
it?
when we became friends.
50
I know,
hours
did it
of
take
what?
50 hours?
Like a deep
just
conversation.
I know, right?
Being around each other.
I don't know.
Stressful situations, right?
Well,
Yeah, it seems
what
like
I
not a
will
lot of time.
say, For Andrea and I know, Andrea, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was love at first sight, at least on my end.
Yep, it was. It was. And we still continue that friendship, even though you live in a different state.
I know, nothing will separate us, not oceans, not worlds, nothing. I will tell you, it also takes about 90 extra hours to move someone from the acquaintance column to the friend column, and another 200 hours to get that best friend category, because that is a big deal. So it's actually a science, you guys, and we're going to get into it on the show.
90 to friend. And then 200
to best friend.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Yes. And then the jury's still out on what it takes to move to BFF, because that's a whole different thing.
Oh, yeah. That's got to be at least another 100.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Easily.
Yeah.
At least, at the very least.
That seems like years in the making.
Now, here's another question. We have another great story on the show today. If you could know what your kid's IQ or even your own IQ was going to be later in life, would you want to?
Yeah, I don't know. When we were teasing this story, I was wondering that. What would you do with that information? Well, you know, you're kind of a dummy. I love you, but you're not that smart, son.
I mean, if it was good, of course you would want to know that.
You're a genius.
But, yeah.
I feel like it would just freak me out. You know what I mean? I've got enough stuff. How about the good old-fashioned way of just living life and seeing what happens, you know?
Yeah.
But it soon could be common practice, and I hate to say it, but more and more research has tied a person's intelligence to their DNA. In fact, in the past year, more than 500 genes have been linked to high IQs. So basically, researchers now believe a simple saliva swab could be enough to predict future brain power. People are actually doing this, and we'll tell you more about it in terms of future plans on Top 30 today.
Excellent.
So,
Tell us again, when and
see
where?
you on the show. Top 30 airs at 7:30 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. on Fox 10 Extra. So I'll see you guys there.
Love it.
So much fun to talk to you.
We'll be watching. We'll talk to you later, friend.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Failing an emissions test might not be the worst thing to happen when you take your car in a testing facility.
No, coming up, a man right here in Phoenix just barely escaped a dangerous incident during his emissions test. I'll tell you how the whole incident happened.
And you may want to visit the Grand Canyon sooner than later.
Oh,
now,
really?
we're not putting pressure on anybody.
Yeah, never.
But the prices at the national parks. Oh, see, this may be the way we get her up there. The ticket price could be going up. Yeah, you could save a few dollars.
It's okay, I have a vacation budget that I put into every 2 weeks, so I'm gonna be okay. I'll get there.
A little Panic at the Disco for you here at 7:30. They've had a nice little run over the last couple of years.
They have.
Yeah. All right, welcome back. Let's go ahead and get to some news for you. Continuing coverage of that Red for Ed campaign in Arizona. Several walk-ins happening across the valley, so not walk-outs. Let's take a live look. Sky Fox over the scene. This is at Bicentennial South Elementary School, 75th Avenue and Camelback. So teachers holding this walk-in in support for the Red for Ed movement. They say they need to make more money. They say they want more money put into education. As we've heard numerous times over the last several months, Arizona teachers are among the lowest paid in the country when you look at state to state. Demonstrations originally started in West Virginia last month. They've moved to several other states, and so yeah, it seems like they're getting more and more vocal. So what's happening today is they're allowing apparently some parents as well to walk into the school with them. So not missing any class time from what we understand. This is all before class, and they're all going to walk in, again, trying to spread their message that they think they should have a little bit bigger paychecks. So this is not going away. It's going to be interesting to see how our state leaders handle this going forward if this movement continues to gain momentum. In court this morning, James David Walker, police say in 2016 he shot his rifle at 7 random cars along the Beeline Highway. 2 people were hit. They survived, though. He's also accused of a robbery and a carjacking. He pled not guilty to more than 40 charges, including aggravated assault. Court records show he may have been high on meth during this whole thing. Hearing also scheduled for the man accused of a series of carjackings and shootings on I-17 during the holidays back in 2016. Olegario Renteria carjacked a driver on the freeway day after Christmas. That car crashed, tried to carjack another driver. 2 people were shot. He's also facing charges for a murder in Mesa. In the border battle, a May 1st trial date has been set for a U.S. Customs and Border Protection officer in southern Arizona accused of falsely claiming that he was born here in the U.S. Marco Antonio de la Garza has pled not guilty to federal charges of making false statements to authorities, accused of claiming he was born in Texas. He's actually a Mexican national, lied about his citizenship during a background check tied to his job back in October. De la Garza is also accused of making false statements about his birth country when he applied for a U.S. passport last year, so he's worked for the federal agency since 2012. Driver hospitalized in a North Phoenix home in bad shape after a car plows right through it. Sky Fox over this scene. This is Tatum and Union Hills. Crash went right through a block wall. Look at that. You can see all the bricks there scattered all over, and the car's a mess. Don't know the condition of the driver. He was the only one hurt. At this time, still not clear exactly what caused this. Caught on camera, routine emissions test goes wrong for a Valley man when another car slams right into his, and now he wants to make sure nothing like this happens to anybody else. Paul Sweeney had his little Mini Cooper in there. Look at this. Oh, my goodness. Checked in at the Arizona Vehicle Inspection Station. This is US 60 in Bell. Pulled into the testing line, got out of his car, thank goodness, and moments later, a Dodge truck pulled in behind him, and the truck then slammed right into the back, you can see it here, of Sweeney's car.
My technician actually walked between the two vehicles. Then within 5 seconds of him exiting my car, it hit. Had he been half in and half out of the car, took that thing, it would have just took him right with it.
Yeah, right. You just saw that the employee there walk out of the way, and then this big truck comes through. That would have been bad. Sweeney says the agency's taking care of his car. ADQ tells Fox 10 a full safety inspection underway. The inspector is going through driver training. And, but yeah, well, still don't understand what's going on here. Is this one of those instances where you hit the brake instead of the gas? Yeah, you stopped in line and all of a sudden you shoot there into the garage. Fox follow-up, the Interior Department is backing down from a plan to impose a steep fee increase at national parks. The department originally planned nearly triple entrance fees at 17 of our most popular national parks, including the Grand Canyon. So you would have been looking at about $70 a vehicle to get in during the peak summer season. But in the face of widespread opposition from lawmakers and the public, that fee hike is now on hold. 7:34, let's get to Celeste out in the newsroom, who's covering breaking news for us this morning. Hello, Celeste.
Hey, good morning, Troy. Good morning, everyone. We're talking about a House Oversight Committee here. There's going to be a big hearing, and we're getting some new details. All involves Facebook and the CEO of the company, Mark Zuckerberg. So the leaders of a House Oversight Committee say Zuckerberg will testify before the panel next week. The hearing will focus on Facebook's use and protection of user data. Now, this follows criticism over the Cambridge Analytica data breach. 50 million accounts were used by political consulting firm, Analytica, of course, to try to influence elections. The House Energy and Commerce Committee says this is a chance to help Americans really understand what happens to their personal information online. That's going to be one interview process to definitely watch. Well, today marks the 50th anniversary of the untimely death of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Thousands of people expected to attend the National Civil Rights Museum for the unveiling of their newest exhibit. It's called MLK 50, A Legacy Remembered. The exhibit will be a virtual reality experience, which will be very moving, reflecting on the civil rights movement 50 years ago and connecting them to the events today. Dr. King was assassinated by a sniper at a Memphis motel, which was later reconstructed into the museum. Well, today is also the birthday of iconic American author and poet Maya Angelou. She was the writer of I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings and a civil rights activist, really a cultural icon for us here in America. She joined the Harlem Writers Guild in the late 1950s, and from there she wrote more than 30 best-selling titles. Her writing celebrates the human spirit and the trials of African Americans that they have faced. Angelou died in 2014. Take you to the Big Apple here for this next story. New York City welcoming its first medical marijuana store later this month. Los Angeles-based company MedMen is set to launch a 10,000 square foot shop on Fifth Avenue right there in Midtown Manhattan. Now, this store is scheduled to open on April 20th, the day that's typically popular among cannabis users nationwide. You know, 420 is kind of the number they throw around. Per state law, MedMen will only be allowed to sell goods to residents who qualify medically. You know, back to this Maya Angelou story that we had you to. She was on this show called Iconoclast, and it probably was a few years ago, and they re-aired it. And her interview with the person who was, you know, the host of the show, it was so moving, and you realize just how much experience she has in life. So definitely missed, and a very wise woman nonetheless.
That's for
Definitely.
sure. Thank you, Celeste.
Thank you.
Now's the time when a lot of people, spring,
Yes.
do a little spring cleaning of the house.
Vacuum, dust, all that good
Sure.
stuff. But our house isn't the only thing that is in need of tidying up. How you can clean and declutter your electronics.
Plus, you can now use, should I say the name? 'Cause people get mad when I do. Anyway, that Amazon device that you talked to with the name.
Yes.
To donate to your favorite charities. We'll tell you how that works coming up next.
All right. Well, let's get you into work on time. If you're getting your last fill of traffic before you head out the door, quite a bit going on. We've got accidents, of course. 101, we'll start there, northbound at Northern. There's a crash there. We have another one eastbound on the 10 that's hanging things up at 59th Avenue. Slow and go, as you would expect on the 10. From about 91st Avenue heading in. 43rd Avenue and Thomas, we still have that restricted. 43rd Avenue, that is, in both directions. So 35th Avenue or 51st Avenue, good alternate to get around it. 27th Avenue in Lincoln, we've got a crash there. Up here at 22nd Street in Myrtle, we have a crash there. And we'll head outside. 101 southbound at Camelback. You can see that it's moving along nicely. So you'll be good on that stretch of the 101 to the I-10. It's once you get on the I-10. If you're driving solo, you're going to sit for a little while.
Tech Talk today, NASA just unveiled its last high-speed project. This one won't be heading into space. Lockheed Martin signed a $247 million contract to build NASA a supersonic X-jet.
Well, the jet will travel up to 940 miles per hour at an altitude of 55,000 feet, and the future aircraft would be almost silent. No silent boom. Instead, the noise would be, quote, as loud as a car door closing. The jet is set to launch by the end of 2021.
That Amazon device with the name that begins with A adds a new feature to help people give back. Amazon Smart Speaker can now make donations to more than 50 charities, including the American Cancer Society, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. You can donate between $5,000 and $5,000 straight through your device. The money will be withdrawn from the bank account or credit card that is linked to your Amazon account.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, springtime. You doing some spring cleaning maybe? Well, don't forget about your electronics. Over time, phones and computers can become slow, cluttered, and dirty. I mean, to the touch, too.
Right. So what you can do to tidy up your tech.
Springtime means spring cleaning, and your technology needs some cleaning, too. Don't use any harsh chemicals to clean your electronic devices. Bleach wipes on your keyboard may kill germs, but it may also wipe away the letters. There are better ways to get it done. Cleaning your keyboard is simple. Just unplug it, flip it over, and tap out any trapped debris. Compressed air will also help get the rest of the gunk out, and give it a wipe to clear away the grime. And cleaning out the inside is just as important. There are software programs that will clear out old, unused files and programs saved on your computer. And the current versions of both Windows and Mac operating systems have built-in tools to clear out old files. You can also clean your inbox by clicking the unsubscribe link in many emails that you get that you no longer want. Website unroll.me will do the dirty work for you. Just sign in with your email information. Give your smartphone a little more memory by deleting apps that you no longer use. Also, flip through that photo album and consider deleting any pictures that you really just don't need.
There you go.
Hey. It's a good time to also make sure your software is up to date, right?
Consider changing passwords along with all of the other cleaning things.
We love changing passwords. So fun.
I know.
Ampersand, ampersand, underscore,
exclamation
5626. Hey now. Did I just give that out? All right, coming up, this might be a very shocking study. Researchers say carbs in pasta won't make you fat.
Okay.
You buying that?
Well, maybe. I don't know. We've got the science to prove it. So, if you believe in science, then it might.
And how a banana peel thrown at Dave Chappelle led to a lawsuit 3 years later.
Uh-oh.